Hi, Crime Junkie jury. I'm Lauren Conlin, and this is your daily Diddy Digest. Whew, we are on day 28, week 7 of the United States versus Sean Combs. And this is the last really kind of full week of the case here. And I feel like people are getting a little fatigued. I think the jury's a little fatigued. The press is fatigued. Everybody's fatigued. We've kind of hit that slump again, or it kind of feels that way. But quickly, just first and foremost, I want to go through some scheduling issues and just some things that were discussed when the jury was not present. So the government was supposed to rest today. They're going to rest tomorrow because the direct of the special agent Joseph Cerciela, their last summary witness, took a little bit longer. And Tenny Garagos mentioned that she has about 90 minutes left of cross-examination, and that will happen tomorrow morning. Now, after that, the jury is going to be given a long break for Rule 29. And Rule 29 is when the defense has the ability to argue after the government has presented their case that certain charges should be dropped because the government or the prosecution did not meet their burden. And then depending on that outcome, the judge said, you should be prepared to present your case in chief after that. So the defense again said that their case in chief should only take 1 to 2 days. So we're expecting them to be finished by Wednesday. And the closing arguments will most likely happen Thursday. And each side had said that they should take around 4 hours. And then the jury charges will be discussed with the jury by Friday afternoon, most likely in the middle of the day. The defense and the government are working with the judge on the verdict sheets as well. They each side submitted their verdict sheet, and there seems to be an issue with the way each side presents the RICO charges. The defense wanted the jury to sort of write in the predicates they felt like Sean Combs was guilty of, if guilty of any. And the judge was like, that's kind of a recipe for disaster, asking the jury to write all of this in. Whereas the government had a million different charges, and the judge is like, okay, that is kind of a little too much. So let's just meet in the middle here. So they're going to work that out. We might stay late on Wednesday or Thursday to sort of go through and finalize the verdict sheet. Also, the defense had said they want not guilty on the left side and not the right side. I had never heard of that before, but I felt like I should report it back. Yes. Oh, and the defense actually said that their case in chief is most likely going to be a lot of evidence presented over witness testimony. So they're working on also isolating witness testimony, government witness testimony, where they felt like it was inconsistent. So they wanted to take certain transcripts from previous government interviews and compare them with what these people said on the stand via stipulation. And they're actually working with the government to streamline this. So I'm really interested to see what the defense is really going to bring to their case here. Because again, I was thinking witnesses. I'm sure we'll see 1 or 2, but they kind of mentioned it's going to be a lot of evidence. So let's just go to Special Agent Joseph Cerciela, the rest of his direct examination. Again, we are on the Jane era, and there was a lot to go over, charts and graphs again, but we didn't see all of them because a lot of the exhibits were sealed because of Jane and her pseudonym and her privacy. We saw text messages mentioning a few women's names that we haven't heard before or we haven't heard much. The first was a woman named Annika that KK was texting Diddy about and vice versa. And KK actually had mentioned to Diddy during this text exchange that Plan B was in his nightstand. And she mentioned this twice. So it must have been important to her. The jury also saw more sex tapes, about 14 different clips. The special agent did say that there were over 50 videos in evidence. They only saw clips, 14 clips from these videos. And he mentioned that he was able to see the entertainer Cabral, Jane, and Diddy. Those are like the 3 people that he saw very frequently. That doesn't mean they were the only ones or Cabral was the only one there, but that's what he saw. And I have to say, the jury is not really reacting anymore to these videos. I mean, at one point, I saw a male juror kind of look annoyed. He rubbed his eyes a little bit, took his glasses off. Another woman's kind of sitting like this, an older woman. So it's definitely not the eye covering that we saw last week. Or God, was it last week? It's all running together for me at this point. We also, okay, so this was interesting. There was an exchange in September of 2023. And this was when Jane was supposed to visit Diddy in Miami. And we heard about this when she was on the stand. She basically heard Diddy on a podcast talk about having this excursion with, I believe it was Young Miami. And he kind of bragged on this podcast that they had intercourse for 48 hours straight, yada, yada. And Jane's like, I'm not doing this. I'm not flying to New York to basically be your HOOKER. And I say that for the algorithm here, but I'm not doing that. So you can stash me in a hotel room and then go on these trips with these women, etc. So these are text messages going back and forth. And then Diddy calls her and they have a call. And after the call, we see text messages where Diddy's text KK, hey, she's good, she's coming. And then we see that, Jane's like, okay, I'm coming. It's all good. And Diddy pretty much told her, per Jane on the stand, that she didn't have to do anything like that. They would just have a nice trip, or she would have a nice trip to New York. They'd go to dinner, shopping, whatever. Well, right when he hangs up with Jane, we see that concurrently he texted Paul Arthur, one of the quote entertainers that lived in Brooklyn. And he's like, hey, are you around or are you in town? And Paul says no. And then he immediately goes and texts Bridget from Cowboys for Angels, the other service. So I feel like the government was trying to say, okay, this is fraud. He's telling Jane one thing, and then at the exact same time, he's doing the opposite. And a side note, there was a back and forth between Diddy and Bridget about payment for this entertainer. I guess Diddy shortchanged the guy, and Bridget texted him that he was missing like $600. And Diddy wrote back, like, he wasn't even able to perform or finish or something like that. And Bridget was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. She was really trying to cover her tracks there. And she was like, look, you were just paying for companionship and time. So you owe us what we agreed upon. And he was like, yeah, no problem. I just thought that was random. So we saw text messages again between Jane setting up entertainer nights, Diddy setting up entertainer nights. A lot of text between Diddy and Paul Arthur. Paul was also a personal trainer, and Diddy seemed to take a liking to him. He kind of texted him, like, I wish you were here, offered his house for Paul to go hang out at when Diddy wasn't home. And then there'd be flight records, hotel records that we saw, a lot of the same stuff. There were texts between assistants trying to get cash from the security guards to bring to Diddy at different hotels. Text from KK, KK telling Diddy one day that he was reckless. I guess he left a hotel in the middle of the night and he was quote unquote lit. And she said, you're being reckless. What else? Texts from Guido to Diddy, this alleged drug dealer. And then text between Diddy and an assistant about drugs. And this assistant also sent Diddy a picture of some drugs. It was like 3 pills, 3 pink pills, 3 blue pills, kind of showing him what was going on. There was an audio message played from Diddy to KK where he said he was out of baby oil and he needed her to get some. And she wrote back that she dropped off 8 bottles of baby oil and 8 bottles of Astroglide. And he also said that he needed Cialis and some soup. And we saw him actually call one of the quote entertainers a writer to Jessica Ruiz, who booked a lot of the travel. He just kind of said, hey, I'm trying to get this writer from Atlanta in town. And I believe that was Cabral from Atlanta. Yeah. And then we also saw like him just juggle women in general. So there was a message from Diddy to KK about canceling on Young Miami. He's like, can you just tell her I have a family emergency? We also saw text messages, and we've seen these before, when Jane tried to break up with Diddy, or she was kind of saying, I'm sick of doing all this loveless sex. I don't want to do this anymore. That was October of 2023. And he's kind of saying, we don't have to. He's trying to make it better. Well, at the same time, we saw a text message come in from Gina, and it said, I'm ready for the car, babe. And you're like, man, this guy is busy. Yeah. And then we also saw a text message from between Diddy and KK about someone named KT not being able to be in the VIP section for one of his concerts because Jane was there and the VIP section was small. So yeah, again, the whole direct that we finished was just more of the same, corroborating flights, hotels, cash, payments, Venmos, etc. Then for the cross, Tenny Garagos was really just, pointing out text messages that were not included in the charts that happen around the same time periods. She really pointed out texts from Jane that were very explicit, her appearing to be the quote unquote aggressor in certain situations, saying, I'm feeling a certain way for you. I want to do these things to you, while one of the entertainers does this stuff to me. And these text messages appear to be unprompted. Again, text messages of Jane setting things up, appearing to be alone, texting Cabral, wanting a FaceTime, text Diddy dominatrix outfits on her own. And then the jury was shown 6 different clips from the different sexually explicit tapes. And during clip 2, I noticed that Diddy passed a note to one of his lawyers. Who knows? And then during clip 6, I did notice that one of the jurors appeared to be sleeping. He was tired. It was getting to that point. It's also very hot out. There, again, more text messages from Jane to Diddy, thanking him and saying how amazing he is after a hotel night, sending him explicit pictures, saying, I miss you, get some rest. We have a big day tomorrow, mostly talking about a hotel night. And that's where we left off. And again, Tenny Garagos said she has about 90 minutes left of the cross. So that is pretty much it. So thank you everyone for listening to the Daily Diddy Digest. I'll be back tomorrow.